Hello everyone, and welcome back to Secrets Behind the Stars. If you love hearing the real feelings behind the flashing cameras, make sure you subscribe and tap like, because today's story is lighting up every feed. The headline is simple, but the impact is anything but. The woman now dating Gökberk, the one who's been whispered about since she was first spotted around Arcticus, has finally spoken, and what she said left even seasoned fans stunned. In a fragile yet steady voice, she let out a sentence that cracked open months of speculation. I'm tired of living in Özge's shadow. Those few words raced across every platform, and in a heartbeat the memories came flooding back. The unforgettable on-screen electricity and off-screen tenderness that made Gökberk and Özge a pair people still talk about like they're a chapter that never quite ended. It began, as these stories always do, with a sighting in Istanbul. Gökberk and his new girlfriend were walking side by side, trying to look casual, trying to pretend the eyes weren't there. But the cameras found them anyway. The photos hit the internet, and they spread fast. Some fans were genuinely happy to see him moving forward, to see him laughing again, to see him reach for a hand that wasn't already taught by the past. But others did what the internet always does. They lined up old scenes and new candidates and began comparing the present to the golden glow of what used to be with Özge. People still remember how natural that chemistry felt, how comforting it was to watch them together on screen and then glimpse that warmth when the lights were off. For many, the story of Gökberk and Özge is not a chapter, but a constellation they look for in every new sky. As the whispers grew louder, the pressure on the new girlfriend thickened. She had been quiet, gracious even, for weeks. She stayed out of comment sections. She refused to escalate. But in a recent magazine sit-down, she decided to speak with calm clarity. She didn't lash out, and she didn't pretend. She simply said what she felt. I respect Özge's work, I truly do, but I'm not her. I don't want a life where I exist in anyone's shadow. Gökberk chose me for who I am, not for the ghost I might remind people of. Those lines cut cleanly through the noise. Within minutes, her words were screenshotted, translated, debated, and dissected. Some people praised her honesty and backbone, calling her brave for saying what many in her position are afraid to say. Others pushed back, defending Özge, insisting that the connection between Özge and Gökberk was singular, tender, and not easily replaced. Through it all, Gökberk stayed true to his usual approach. He didn't feed the spectacle. He avoids turning his private life into a press release. But those close to them say he took her hands and told her not to let the roar outside crack what they are building. He spoke softly, the way people do when they know the cameras can't capture everything that matters. Don't let their opinions live inside us, he reportedly told her. We know what is real. No statement, no thread, no press call, just that, and then he went back to work. The Turkish entertainment press, however, did not go quiet. The dramatic headlines came anyway, tapping the old well and stirring dust into the air. Stories suggested the couple was already under strain, that the comparisons had started to seep into their dinners, their late-night talks, their weekend plans. And while the headlines thundered, Özge kept her public voice tempered. She didn't enter the shouting match. She didn't quote anything or name anyone. But she did post a single line that seemed to vibrate with intention. Silence has its own power. Fans poured over it. Was it a coincidence? A motto? A mirror held up to the situation without pointing a finger? Some followers responded with warm messages, promising support and respect. Others accused her of stirring with softness, of saying everything by saying almost nothing. A veteran television journalist stepped into the conversation and put it bluntly, this is not just a love story. This is a battle of perception. For many, Özge's image is still interwoven with the public life of Gökberk. The pair represent a time, a feeling, a series, a sensation people aren't ready to fold away. And in the middle of that cultural nostalgia sits a real person trying to love someone in the present tense. Those close to the new girlfriend say the pressure is heavy. One friend said it this way, in the beginning, they were glowing. Everything felt hopeful. But after every outing, the comments poured in about Özge. It felt like she was walking into a room where everyone had a picture of someone else hanging on the wall. Then came a night by the Bosphorus that no one can stop talking about. The couple sat down at a well-known waterfront restaurant. They were trying to be ordinary, to share food and a view and a sliver of quiet. Witnesses say their faces told different stories. She looked tightly wound, picking at a napkin edge, and he leaned in, speaking gently, trying to cushion the impact of 1,000 invisible eyes. Photos from that night ricocheted online within hours, and once again the crowd took sides. Some argued that she was buckling under a relentless wave of online cruelty and unwanted comparisons, while others called her courageous for having the nerve to say out loud what many feel but keep trapped behind polite smiles. Before long, one familiar pattern returned. The names Gökberk Demirci and Özge Yagis began trending together again, not because of a new project, not because of a reunion, but because of a storm no one could seem to tame. And just when the temperature felt highest, a new rumor landed with the force of a dropped glass. Whisper networks claimed that producers were floating the idea of a new series that would bring Gökberk and Özge back to the same set. No confirmations, no posters, no deals inked. Just the suggestion. Yet that suggestion alone set the fan universe spinning. One columnist warned that such a move might rip open stitches that had barely begun to knit. Another argued it would be ratings gold and a nostalgic balm to millions. Sensing the heat, Gökberk and his girlfriend slipped out of Istanbul for a few days. They weren't hiding, they were breathing. In a message to a close friend, she said, "I needed air. I needed to walk without hearing the word comparison in my head." They headed to a quiet coastal town, the kind of place where the horizon gives you perspective even if it can't give you privacy. They strolled by the water, let the wind bite their cheeks, and tried to remember that life can be simple. But even there, the lenses found them. Headlines popped up anyway. "He is searching for calm far from the city." The story followed, the way stories do when they become larger than the people at their center. Around the same time, Özge posted another line that kept everyone guessing: "Not every silence means peace." It was sharp, intriguing, and entirely open to interpretation. Once again, the fan base fractured along familiar lines. For some, it was a universal observation. For others, it felt like a precise sentence placed like a bookmark in the very conversation everyone was having without saying names. Whether intended or accidental, the ripple was unmistakable. Every new word, every absence of a word, fed the blaze. Insiders say that privately, Gökberk is weary of being tugged backward. He doesn't want conflict with anyone. He respects the past. He honors it. But he is trying to live now. Those who know him say he wants steadiness, the kind that isn't broadcast, the kind that grows like a tree instead of a firework. Still, there are corners of the fandom that refuse to let go of the story of Gökberk and Özge. They've built collages in their minds and playlists in their hearts. They have memories set to light and music. And they've even begun organizing, urging decision-makers to pair the two stars again. The refrain is familiar: their chemistry was magic, they defined an era, the screen felt warmer when they stood in the same frame. Producers, for their part, can't help but be tempted. The idea of a reunion brings the promise of staggering numbers, a frenzy of attention, and the satisfying click of nostalgia. But it also carries the risk of emotional turmoil for everyone involved. What is good for ratings may not be good for hearts. And hearts, despite PR plans and media calendars, have a way of making their own headlines. According to whispers close to the actor, when the talk reached his ears, Gökberk told confidants something plain and heavy with meaning: "I don't want to relive the past. My life is different now." It didn't sound like a rebuke. It sounded like a person ready to turn the page, even if the world wants to keep reading the same paragraph. Since her interview, his girlfriend has chosen quiet. No new posts. No hints. No reactive statements. She is staying off the grid as much as a person can in a world that always wants more. To friends, she has repeated a wish that is simple and human: "I want to be seen for who I am, not as a reflection of someone I am not." Meanwhile, the rumor mill grinds on. Brands see the attention and, according to industry buzz, some have begun to reach out with offers for ad campaigns. She hasn't said yes, at least not publicly. Attention is currency, but it's also pressure, and no one envies the weight of every decision when it becomes part of the story. In the end, this isn't just about who is dating whom or who might share a screen again. It's about fame and the souvenirs it leaves behind, about memory and how it can become a room the living keep walking into by mistake. It's about the stubbornness of the past and the hard work of moving forward when the world insists on rewinding the same moments until the edges wear thin. Right now, Gökberk, his girlfriend, and Özge are caught in a triangle formed less by romance than by the gravity of public feeling. There are still past emotions hovering in the air, and there is the heavy hand of expectation pressing on shoulders that were not built to carry everyone's nostalgia. Asked recently about all of this, about whispers and posts and trending names and doors people want to reopen, Gökberk said something quiet that lingered long after the microphones were lowered: love and respect also mean knowing when to let go. Maybe that is the sentence we all needed. Maybe the lesson is that peace isn't found by gripping tighter but by loosening your fingers and letting the river take what it must. Maybe it's remembering that people are not chapters we get to rewrite whenever we're bored. They are lives in motion, with new pages that deserve ink of their own. Thank you for watching and for being here with Secrets Behind the Stars. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe, share your thoughts below, and keep the conversation thoughtful. Are the comparisons fair? Or is it time for everyone to allow the love stories of yesterday to rest where they belong, honored, remembered, and gently left in the past while the present finds its way forward?